let's go watch it in 2D. No, let's go watch it in 3D. But if we watch it in 3D, then is it worth the cost?
When you're gonna have to pick a side.
No, I don't do sides.
What are you gonna do?
I think it's nothing.
Hello. This is Adolph Vega, and today I am with
Jake Jarvis.
And today we are doing the spoiler-filled review for Fantastic Beasts. Jake, do you want to finish the rest of the title?
The Crimes of Grindelwald.
I don't know how to pronounce Grindelwald, so that's why I threw it towards you.
Hey, they didn't know how to in the movie either. I heard at least 4 different pronunciations of his name.
So, like I said before, this is spoiler-filled.
Warning, this podcast contains spoilers. Warning, this podcast contains spoilers.
So, yeah, we're going right into this. So, the movie starts off, and we're going to talk about the 3D element because Jake has seen it in 3D. So, the movie, I think, starts off with one hell of a 3D scene.
Yep.
And you explain this scene, Jake?
To me, it just the movie set off with almost like a James Bond like opening. In fact, this movie was set up a lot like a James Bond movie, which I thought was kind of interesting. You know, British filmmaking, I guess. I just thought it was really great. They're taking Grindelwald to prison, only it's not really Grindelwald, because he's pulled a switcheroo with Poly Potion, which gets used a few other times in the movie.
And so you have this really epic rain scene where it's like a carriage, and it's like flying back to England, and man, this is like, holy crap, this 3D is awesome. At least for me.
Oh, it was very good. Scenes like this really stuck out. I really also like, we'll get to the end, but I really also like the scenes in the Ministry of Magic with the owls, too, flying around. That was really, really, really nice.
So, yeah.
But this opening scene was awesome. I mean, you have all this the flying carriage, which you might remember from the similar carriage they had at the beginning of Harry Potter. And of course, they were assuming everybody has seen a dead person, because if you remember your Harry Potter lore, you can only see these beasts who were pulling the carriage as if you had actually seen somebody die.
I did not catch that, but that's very, very good of you catching that.
When you're dragged to Harry Potter stuff, some of it sticks in.
So, yeah, this carriage, like, you have different camera angles, you have things flying out, you have rain popping out, you have, going in and here and there, water, and it's just like, wow, you're really hitting it hard. And then it's dark, but for me at least, I did the RPX Regal, whatever super thing they're doing, and I thought it would look fantastic. And usually kind of rainy, rain looks good in 3D, but like dark scenes like this would not work. But it definitely worked here, and I was like, this is a win. What? And then like the logo flew out at you. I was like, oh, awesome.
Yeah, another top-notch Warner Brothers letting their logo get altered for a movie. Some of the other studios really ought to let this happen more often, because it really looks good, and it just puts you in the mood right away.
So we go back to London, where Newt is, I guess, doing a hearing to be able to travel, because he's been banished to travel because of the situations that happened in the first movie. And they do a decent little recap. You don't have to see the first movie, but you're going to get a whole lot more if you don't, So, his brother is there, which I don't remember seeing him at all in the first movie. What was his brother's name? Was it Abernathy, I think?
I think it's Thesis.
Okay. So we're gonna mess up these names because it's kind of a mess.
And frankly, to be brutally honest, we don't really care that much.
Yeah, I mean, look, when a movie has like a cast of 5, 6 characters, that's one thing. This has like a cast of 30.
Yeah, and they not only have names that are that are not names you come across on a daily basis. Hey, I butcher names all the time. But some of these characters have 2 and 3 aliases, so
Yeah.
we're not the biggest. I mean, I've seen the Harry Potter movies. I've read the books once. I'm not the biggest Potterhead. I
So,
like it. I don't love it.
to go back to the movie, Newt is there and he's trying to, or trying but failing badly to convince a council to let him travel because he wants to travel. And, it was kind of like he didn't really want to try to convince them, and he just thought he was entitled to. And it was kind of weird. Do you agree with that or no?
Oh, I agree. Newt Commander's a bit of a jerk.
I kind of like him more in this movie though, but yeah.
Yeah.
And then he fails, and then they have to decide. It's like, all right, let's go investigating. Or now that they know that Grindelwald escaped, they're gonna go out to investigate. And the movie, okay, I put this in my spoiler-free movie. I liked it. I liked it a lot, but it is one hell of a mess to try to follow what's going on in this movie.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And there's
I
too
finally
many characters.
just gave up. Yeah, I finally just gave up. I just let it wash over me, and I'll see what sticks when I think about it later.
So Newt does go back to New York, right? No, France, Paris.
No, he goes to Paris. This one, like I said, this is like Bond. He's now global traveler. So he went from New York, now Paris.
And we get to see his apartment and some woman that works for him that's attracted to him, but we never get to see any more about.
Yeah.
And apparently now he has the ability to have his briefcase open, and the monsters don't go crazy. The beasts, the fantastic beasts per se, they are contained, which was never explained.
It's plot, contrivance, excelsior.
So it's okay, that's a big deal with the first one. Just gonna ignore it. I guess maybe he has a spell that contains them. Move on.
Mm-hmm. Or they're now big stars and behave themselves now.
Yeah. And you get some of the characters from the first movie come back, which the way they explained it I actually liked. They got back the girl and the regular guy.
Mm-hmm.
And they said that he was enchanted by her, but they were gonna get married, and the regular guy, what's his name? He actually is the only one with a real decent name.
Jacob Kowalski.
Yes, the only one with a basic name.
Yeah. Dan, played by Dan Fogler, who's now one of the new regulars on The Walking Dead.
And I like him. I liked his character in the first one. I like him here again.
Yeah, I thought he was the best character. Him and Queenie's relationship was the best thing in the first one.
And there's really good chemistry between these characters, and it's okay, cool, makes sense, and obviously the whole they can't let us get married is an obvious aside to whatever time period where the conservative minds don't want people interbreed marry. Let you decide on the listener decide which ones, but this is before anything else. But obviously people have had problems with breeding, or not breeding, but getting married to different folk for a long time.
Mm-hmm. And this is well-worn trope in the Harry Potter books. I don't think they could go 20 pages without talking about somebody who got married against the rules. Okay,
So-
maybe 25 pages.
So, Queenie talks to him and says that he needs to go to Paris to investigate about making sure that Grindelwald is not going to, because Grindelwald's collecting people, and they need to investigate and see about Credis, that he doesn't get lured into Grindelwald's, and that, they're trying to find out everything. So they take a bucket to Paris, which is fun, the fun scene.
Yeah.
And they go to like a magical kind of I liked how they found a statue, and like the statue led the way, and they found like this carnival or something, and then that led to another character, which was Zoe, I think it is, or Lita Lestrange.
Yeah, Lita Lestrange, who was at one time dated Newt Scamander, and now she's engaged to his brother, Theseus.
And
Or we can call him the brother.
yeah, so then there's an investigator named Arnold Guzman. No, yeah, is that right?
I don't know. Could be, yeah. Sounds like Arnold Guzman.
So he was
Guzman.
investigating, and then Newt goes over there to investigate them.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
This podcast is brought to you by 3D Wiggle. With 3D Wiggle software, you can impress your family and friends with 3D gifts and videos. To find out more information, please click on the link in the description for 20% off coupon as well. This podcast is also brought to you by Patreon. With Patreon, you can become a patron and get this podcast commercial free and get many more benefits. Please click on the description again to get more information. Now, back to the show. What'd you think of this scene with the carnival?
It was nice. Lots of fun.
Great
Good
visuals.
3D. Uh-huh. Yeah, the visuals in this are really outstanding. They really went above and beyond. Really nice. When I was watching this, I was going, God, I wish I could have seen this in IMAX. I bet you this really would have been something.
And there's this awesome scene with a dragon cat, which I don't know what the hell the animal's called.
I don't either. It looked like a cross between a dragon and a lion in Chinese literature. Was cute as Dickens.
And how Newt got it into the bag was magnificent.
Mm-mm.
Like the cat toy. I love that.
Yeah.
Everyone in the theater was just like, yes, that's adorable.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it was all CG. I felt like some of the puppeteering, some of it was actually a puppet, because it really got a good sense of being there.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing I already mentioned in the review, my review, that I feel like this one does a lot better job of having the digital creatures get more sense of place. They're not just being there. The characters are acting better toward them, and it really feels like they're not just, look over there and there's something going on over there, and then they're actually like really interacting with the characters and actors.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
So you get to know more about Grindelwald, and Grindelwald is trying to unite the witch kind, and the purebreds, and trying to take over the world, which sounds cliche, but the way that Johnny Depp was portrayed this, I thought was fantastic. This is one of my favorite Johnny Depp performances in a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, he really he didn't like try to make this like another Jack Sparrow or Mordecai. He basically played this guy completely unsympathetic. He went for it even more than he did in his villainous turn in the new version of Murder on the Orient Express. So I was really impressed. He really showed he still got his acting chops, still cares, and he really put it out there in the line. He made this guy, I mean, he makes Voldemort look like a Disney villain.
Yeah. And Grindelwald is fantastic. He's oozing of charisma. He's really likable. He's very powerful. And obviously it's an allusion to the fascists that started World War One and World War Two,
Mm.
And probably starting World War Three, but
uh, and in the time period they've set Fantastic Beasts in, we're going to be coming up we're in the really early stages of pre-World War II. We're in the time of the uneasy peace between the two world wars.
And we get to meet a very young Dumbledore with, again, another great performance here. I really adore Jude Law in this as Dumbledore.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I know a lot of people were hoping Jared Harris, the son of Richard Harris, would have got cast. He would have been good too, but Jude Law really knocks this out of the park. He's charming, he's debonair, and he didn't try to do an impersonation of Dumbledore. I mean, I don't think he knocked it out of the park as good as Ewan McGregor does when he plays Obi-Wan, but it was damn good.
Now, it was advertised to be in the movie, and they do have a cop-out, but they actually do explain it, that he had a blood oath with Grindelwald when they were kids, so that they can't fight each other. And I was like, okay, you're making a good excuse.
Yeah, that's a Harry Potter thing.
But it's a good cop-out to get him not to be in the movie more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And to explain why he can't just defeat him,
Yeah. Uh-huh. Well, he may not also have the power to either, because our Grindelwald is very powerful, but so's Dumbledore, because Grindelwald doesn't think he can kill him either, even if they could do something about that pesky blood oath they swore to each other.
And then we get a scene with a alchemist, which I didn't recognize them, but everyone in the theater was like, "Oh my god!" Do you remember the alchemist from Harry Potter, or no?
Yeah, that's Nicholas Flamel. He was the guy who had the Philosopher's or the Sorcerer's Stone, depending on which side of the Atlantic you saw the movie or read the book. Nicholas, he was in the first movie.
And we get back to the school, which I really love that scene. The flashback was a little bit confusing, but I do really enjoyed it. I wasn't sure it was a flashback at first.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
It just kind of proved that all the teachers of the dark arts die violent deaths at Hogwarts. They're the red shirts of the wizarding world.
And again, there's a scene there. We haven't talked about the 3D in a while, but with the candles, oh, that was beautiful. I just want to reach out and grab them.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a scene with Newt talking to Dumbledore, like really high up, where the depth was really, up there with the 3D. So when I did my review, I went ahead and gave it a great 3D. What would you give it?
I would give it great 3D too, because there's just enough of these scenes that punch out that I'm like, if you're going to see this in a theater, see it in 3D. Because you will literally be missing half the movie if you don't.
Yeah, and a lot of things are flying out, like you said, a lot of creatures, a lot of, it was pop out and depth, and it was, I think the character and emotions, I could read them better because they really zoomed in a lot of times to the faces, and you could see they're acting a little better,
Yeah. I mean, they didn't have any of those old pop-outs, like people sticking their fingers at the screen and stuff, but story didn't need it.
Well, they did have, I think Newt did the wand once.
Yeah, but it was in a natural position. It wasn't just some arbitrary.
Yeah.
It had a story to happen.
Yeah. So, yeah, I really enjoyed the 3D in this. And, the love scene with Newt in the past, I thought was well done. I thought it was just I wasn't sure it was a flashback at first. I was like, wait, huh? And then they explained it. It's like, oh, okay, I get it. And you learn that why they can't, Grindelwald and Dumbledore can't fight each other. And then you go back to Paris where they're trying to find a box in like the library or something.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of lost here, and then you find out that the brother or Credus is they switched the babies at birth with, and Credus wanted to know who his family was, so he traveled to Paris
Credus thought he was Lestrange. But when I saw when Grindelwald was playing with the little bird, I was thinking there was one of two possibilities he could be. One was a Ravenclaw, and I think I won't spoil the spoiler cast. I'll wait till we get there for the big denunciate. Dun dun dun! When we say who Grindelwald actually says who he is.
Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. Grindelwald claims that Credence Barebone is actually a lost Dumbledore. I'm not even going to attempt.
Yeah.
He's Dumbledore. Since the sister died, I don't think he's a brother, but I also don't think he's the sister's son because she was only 14 when she died. And I don't think J.K. Rowling is going to go there. I mean, we don't know because Lestrange was compelling women to have his children. So who knows? He could have been that much of a dirtbag to compel a 14-year-old.
Yeah, it was weird because I don't recognize Lestrange, and I kept thinking Doctor Strange. I was like, no, not Doctor Strange. Magic and, Marvel and getting Marvel and it all mixed up. So, yeah, we eventually get a battle with Grindelwald, and Newt doesn't want to go on the side, but then he has to, and then we get a big surprise there with Queenie going to his side and leaving her fiance, which...
Yeah, that was the one thing that did not ring true to me. Why in the hell would she join basically a wizarding version of white supremacist when what she wants to do is marry a nomad, aka mudblood, as they would refer to. I mean...
Yeah, he would not... That's the one thing that didn't make sense. It was a shock. did not see that coming, but it doesn't make any sense to why.
But I also think she's compelled too.
Yeah.
There was some evidence to show that she was under enchantment.
And that Grindelwald was such a charming and charismatic leader that anyone could fall for his graces, even Queenie, But
I also think he used an enchantment on her, like she used an enchantment on Jacob to get engaged.
I did not catch that, but it makes sense. I like that theory, And the thing is, a lot of these, white supremacist, horrible kind of people, they're very charismatic, and a lot of people get enchanted, not magically, but that's why there's so many of those kinds of people come around every couple of decades.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to get too political here, but
and another little piece of interest: we're coming up pretty soon in the timeline in the Harry Potter world of when Albus Dumbledore meets Tom Riddle, aka Voldemort.
So, yeah,
I would say in the future movies we're going to see Tom Riddle.
I think that's likely. If they're gonna, which obviously this one left on a cliffhanger, kind of, but I do feel like it was a complete story. They did say they're gonna do a 5-series movie with Fantastic Beasts, and I could see it happening. I could see,
the next one's going to be set in Rio.
Oh yeah, how do you know that?
That's what I've been hearing. That the third one is going to be set. Each one's going to be a different. Makes sense if it's. I don't know how close to World War II it's going to be, but personally, it would make more sense for the fourth one to be in Rio, because then they would be in the war proper.
So.
And people fled to South America to get out away from the war.
Yeah.
But I don't know that's just what I've heard.
So, yeah, we do see that Grindelwald gains power, and then Creedle, or what's his name, goes on to him because he thinks his and then they go off, and you get to talk to, you see Newt go back to Hogwarts and talk to Dumbledore, and like, okay, we know what's going on, and it kind of ends there. I mean, we're really kind of simplifying this story because the movie really goes out of its way to make it too damn complicated and have way too many characters.
Yeah, and too many things. Just we don't know where it's going. Hopefully, some of these things will be answered in the next movie.
Now, I do love Grindelwald, like I said before. Johnny Depp, I think that's a great villain, a really interesting character. Performance is great. Johnny Depp, is Jude Law is great here, so those things really kind of stand out. And then I like Newt here more, all his beasts and how he controls them and how they work into the story better than they did the first one. And, he just has a good chemistry with these animals and knows what he's doing,
And they really handled the whole relationship between Dumbledore and Grindelwald very discreetly and quietly. A lot of people have been complaining too much, so because I don't know if you caught this, but the mirror Dumbledore stands in front of is kind of like the mirror of it's desire spelt backwards, and it will show you what you desire the most. And it was Grindelwald that was who appeared in the mirror.
Now, there is also some issues with the tone, where it seems like it jumps from being really wacky to being very serious, like really quickly. Did you catch that? Did that annoy you or no?
It didn't annoy me too much because I'm kind of used to it with Harry Potter movies.
But it's weird because like it doesn't like settle on, is it going to be a wacky fun movie? Like I don't necessarily think this is a kids movie. I don't think kids will like this,
Yeah, this is definitely not for the little kids who, of course, I don't know, the kids that grew up with Harry Potter will probably like it, but the next generation would probably go, "Mommy, take me to see Smallfoot instead," or The Grinch.
Now, the middle of this movie kind of dragged, and it kind of was boring, What'd you think of that?
Yeah, this one wasn't as good as, overall, I didn't think this movie was as good as the first Fantastic Beasts, but it's still a good movie.
Now, I actually liked it more than the first, just because I felt like the first, I don't know, it didn't connect with me as much. And I was like, okay, this one connects with me. I was more intrigued, and I was like, okay, it's wacky, but it's not like as, the first one had the whole, total wackiness with the little creature that steals. And like they kind of overdid that, and like this one, it comes back, but like it's there for a purpose.
But he had a point this time.
Yeah,
because he accidentally stole the little amulet that they swore the blood oath between Grindelwald and Dumbledore, and with it, Dumbledore can possibly break the blood oath between them.
So the movie did feel a little bit long, but for me, I do feel like it's, I like the direction it's going. I like that, okay, it feels like a Harry Potter movie, but it's its own thing as well. So, I feel better about the franchise now than I did after the first movie.
Yeah, and
Now,
I thought the attempt to create tension between um the Scamander brothers over Leta Lestrange was pointless, and I also thought the whole thing with about the fake news in the Wizarding newspaper to bust up the budding romance from the first one was a little bit pointless. It just seemed to just pad out and make things more complicated than they needed to be.
yeah, it's kind of, I hate to say this, but I kind of feel like the next one, they should just go ahead and kill off some of these characters because it's getting too unbearable. It's like, okay, this person has this thread, that person has that thread, and like there's just too many things going on, and like for a book it would make more sense, but for a movie you really have to make it either works or it doesn't. Like, and obviously Marvel knows how to do this, but like
Oh, what did you think of uh, Voldemort's snake turning out to have been a human that had a blood curse on them?
I thought it was really interesting. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, exactly. I just was hoping that hopefully she does more in the sequels. It was a great introduction. I liked her scenes with Ezra Miller a whole lot. I thought they had a lot of chemistry.
I like Ezra Miller a lot in this, more than I did in the original too.
He had a lot more to do. He had a real character to play, not just getting mad. I'm the Oculus, and I'm going to kill you all. He was a
Yeah,
lot more than that.
and it's one of those things. It's like, man, Ezra Miller is really a good actor. You just don't see it that much on screen. I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
So,
So when I was watching this, I'm going, well, I think we can forget about a Flash movie anytime soon. He's committed to these.
well, he's committed because Warner Brother pays him, and Warner Brother owns the rights to Flash. So he's gonna make that Flash if it's gonna take 5 more years.
They're probably gonna. What we'll do is we'll film them side by side, and we'll just drive him across town. One
He
day,
actually did like tweet about that, and it's like, oh, we're gonna making a sweet kick-ass, Flash movie. Just you wait. So, I mean, we'll see. But that's neither here or there.
yeah,
So I gave this a verdict of a 7 out of 10. What do you give it?
I gave it a 6 out of 10.
Okay. What would you give the first one?
7.
Okay, so we're kind of still within the same. I gave the first one a 6. So
Yeah, I think we're on the same page. It's just certain things in each one worked better for us than the other,
yeah, it's still
and that's how I'm
positive.
great. Still positive, still well worth your time, well worth seeing.
But I think a lot of critics have jumped on this movie, and it's a little bit too much. It's like, okay, look, there's problems. You cannot deny the problems in this movie, but it's not that bad.
Yeah, it's good. And if you're and some of it you can tell some of these critics are not the least bit familiar with Potter lore. I don't think this movie was made for somebody who's never seen a Harry Potter movie to just walk in and know exactly what's going on.
So right now it's at 39% Rotten Tomatoes, which it does not deserve that.
Yeah, it doesn't deserve that.
And audience scores 73%, which is basically our average, So it has problems with the narrative. It could cut down the characters, make it easier to follow, and you'll have, I still think it's not as good as the Harry Potter movies, but it's getting there.
This is one of those movies I've noticed. I also thought this about the first Fantastic Beasts. It's a movie that there's so much going on that you'll probably be rewarded with future viewings. Like when it comes out on Blu-ray, you'll have a field day going through catching stuff. because I could tell there was so much stuff going on that I wasn't catching at all.
Yeah, I actually agree with you that I was like, okay, there's a lot of stuff going on here. I kind of want to watch it again just to try to get caught up because so many things kind of flew by, and just like so many things to juggle and so many characters and everything. But yeah, I mean, I gotta really give it to Johnny Depp because I've really not liked him in a long time. You know, it's like I just don't care about his acting in a long time, and he just nailed it. So is there anything else you want to say, or is that pretty much it?
I think we pretty much said it all about Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald. And I'm hoping like I said, I heard it pronounced 4 different ways in the movie.
Yeah. All right, so that's going to be it for us. Bye.
Bye.
All right, before this podcast ends, I want to give a thank you to my patrons. Right now, we have one patron, which is David from Spain, and I want to thank you for your financial support. All right, so that's going to be it for this podcast.
We now have a Patreon, and the link is in the description. Thanks for watching.
And we are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, little bit everywhere. Just look for us, 3D or 2D. And of course, review us on iTunes. And if you want to write us a letter, our email address is email3d or 2d at gmail.com. So that's going to be it. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye, everyone.